5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone. We're off to a little bit of a late start here this morning, but good morning to everybody on a beautiful Monday morning. Post-Daytona playoff cutoff race. The field is set. We have a couple things to dig into and be excited about as we get the Monday morning quarterbacking started. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. It is early for a Monday, even for Sal. We're a little behind this morning. Coffee hasn't quite gotten to all the places it needs to yet, but it will. We're going to let everybody kind of scoot in here into the chat, into the live, get everything up and running. It's 10 after-ish 8 right now. Let me grab my coffee real quick, and I'll be right. Can you give me 1 second? I'll be right back. All right. I apologize. The bean juice is such a pivotal, vital part of our production here for the Splash and Dash morning show that if it doesn't happen, we're just down and out right out of the gate. So I appreciate everybody's patience here this morning as we get started off. Appreciate everybody's patience here as we get started off this morning. This is the Splash and Dash morning show with Slide Job Sal on TikTok, on Facebook, with ATYL Media, YouTube, and Twitter/X. Just out here enjoying a Monday morning post-Daytona. One of the best Daytona next-gen races I've seen in a long time. What a race. Just the ability of the field to want to run for something extra, for that playoff spot, but keep it tight, keep it together. It wasn't a mess. It was as much of a mess as you would expect Daytona to be at certain times, and nothing more, in my opinion. I think it was a great Daytona event. It got me thinking a lot about why. It got me thinking a lot about. I can't spell. It got me thinking a lot about why certain races run certain ways at different time of the year, right? So Daytona 500, we know is kind of like this event that, people have kind of poo-pooed now a little bit. A little poo-poo has happened where it's fuel savings and getting ready and lining up for the final stage and you won the Daytona 500. And I think with what's unique about this race, Coke Zero Sugar 400, is that the cutoff adds that added layer of I need to go out and win and get every point, and I need to put myself in a position to win now. And I think it makes for better racing, and that's part of why this race was, I think, as good as it was at Daytona. Adrian, what's going on this morning? How we doing? How we feeling? We celebrating? It's a Blaney bathtub win. No toaster ovens for the fans out there this week. Brian Blaney in the Cup Series, I'll tell you, I think the 13th to 1st statistic is a little misleading considering they were 3 wide, but just you see the veteran presence of a super speedway racer, just a super speedway, just a veteran NASCAR driver in Ryan Blaney compared to those he was around up at the top there. The way he's able to control his pace and understand what is going to unfold around him, unbelievable. Toe surgery for Adrian on Thursday. Not good, Adrian. We don't like toe surgery. We want all of our toes. Hopefully they kept it on you. We don't need to be replacing toes. We haven't gotten to that point yet, I hope. Anyway, Ryan Blaney, I mean, this could have been absolutely one of the most catastrophic finishes in Cup Series, next gen playoff era finishes, because the 5 cars that finished behind Ryan Blaney all would have won and been in from below the bubble. Really was hoping Chris Buescher could win. I really was hoping Chris Buescher or Ryan Preece. Those two seemed to be the ones that nobody was gonna shake a stick at. Plus, Ryan Preece just has been getting so close and so close and so close to a win this year. I really feel for him and that 60 team. I think he's going to be back in that 60 car, or at least running in the Cup Series in some capacity in the future for quite a while, I would hope. But the performance that they've been able to show over the last year here has been unbelievable. Unfortunate that RFK couldn't get it done. Brad Keselowski was running at the front of the field for a while with Cody Ware. I loved Carson Ware's tweet this week, the fortune cookie, I thought that was hilarious, where it's like a great victory is coming soon. And I'm here. I was here for it. I was here for a sub 30 points position winner this weekend. I wanted to see the chaos. I wanted it all. So it would have been wild to see. But we had Austin Dillon win last week. Ryan Blaney this week in Daytona. And now we'll start the great climb that is the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Love it, hate it, feel indifferent about it. This is the way that we are going to decide a champion in 2025, ladies and gentlemen. It should be a real barn burner. I think it will be. I think we have, for all of the different things that we argue and complain about as a fan base, I think one thing that we can enjoy is the level of competition of these drivers. And we'll go through our Cup Series playoff drivers here in just a moment, but we'll talk a little bit about Daytona in the Xfinity Series. We'll also run down the finishing order here. Ed Soundhead. I don't know who that is. No idea. Honest to God. Should I know who that is? Is that a compliment? I hope it's a compliment. Well, thank you then. Obviously, as we said, Ryan Blaney winning this race for Penske. Daniel Suarez with a very strong second place finish. That car went from front to back and back to front a number of times at Daytona. Suarez always has been kind of a good drafting track super speedway racer. So I'm not sitting here like eyes wide that Daniel Suarez was in the mix to win this race. I think my eyes get wider as we go down this list here, as Justin Haley on that bottom lane was in position to win this race. Absolutely in position. But he wasn't in position until Cole Custer was out of position. Because during the final sequence, Cole Custer was running the top in that 41 Haas factory team machine. The last turn at Daytona, white flag at Daytona, you think somebody's going to win. You think about 6 different people are going to win the race until they actually cross the line. And it's unbelievable. And this was a great example of that. Cole Custer making a choice to kind of block down from that top lane, leave the safety. I thought the safety of his teammate in manufactured teammate in Ryan Blaney at the top of the field there, the third lane, to cut down and kind of block the run of Justin Haley. But Cole Custer finishing a respectable 4th here. 5th place is Eric Jones. My goodness, the lore that would have been written about Eric Jones winning in Daytona in that car. In the car, the STP Dollar Tree Petty Blue Orange STP Orange car. I was like finger on the internet to load up the pre-order for the race 1 version. That car looked so good on track. Legacy Motor Club, they have, come correct to quite a number of tracks this year. And when they've come with good equipment and they've focused all their resources and energy to try to really run their 2 entries up near the front, goodness, it has looked good. It has looked good. There has been a lot of progress there. But just so close for Eric Jones. He got shuffled around a little bit, which was unfortunate. Not as unfortunate as Joey Logano getting shuffled around, though. We'll talk about that, too. In 6th was Kyle Larson. I see some comments about Kyle Larson in the chat already. Thought Larson was going to win it. Drove me crazy. What was this? Wondering why Larson or Elliott didn't jump to that high line. As a 9 fan, that drove me absolutely crazy. He didn't take the run from Custer and Blaney. Don't know. I mean, these are split-second decisions. You never know. Maybe they felt they wouldn't get the support they needed as if they had been closer to one another pushing. But that's what I was trying to do sitting there watching that final lap, was kind of doing the math on, all right, if he pulls up, he's going to have to deal with this person, and this person's not going to push this person to a win, and this person's going to have to move to this position to go here. It's really, I think it's really tricky, where it's like you want every driver to fill every gap, and you think they're going to push each other, but I guess there's some trepidation there about what drivers will be friendly enough to work with one another. And I think at Daytona and at other drafting tracks, you got to have friends out there, and you got to put yourself in a position to work with the people who are the friendliest to you. And if you don't think you're going to get that nice interaction with a little bump on the back there to get you rolling, it ain't worth taking a chance. I don't think so. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's just a case where the 9 and the 5, just the run came and the run went, and they didn't even realize, they didn't even realize. So Kyle Larson, though, finishes 6th. Chris Buescher, here's where my teardrops start to fall. Chris Buescher comes in 7th, had been running in the middle front of the pack all day. Ty Gibbs in 8th. Josh Berry in 9th. And Chase Elliott rounds out the top 10. This is a diverse top 10. Oh, we're going to talk about Parker Kligerman, Adam. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about Cody Ware in a sec, too. This is a very diverse top 10. I mean, we look at this. Blaney, Suarez, Haley. When have we seen Justin Haley in the top 10 in the Cup Series recent time? It's been a while. Custer, Jones. I mean, we see Larson, we see Buescher from time to time, Ty Gibbs, Josh Berry, and Chase Elliott. That is a very diversified top 10. Then as we go down through, Michael McDowell in 12th, Christopher Bell finished 13th. Priest 14th. Shane Van Gisbergen finishes 16th here. Shane Van Gisbergen was out in the lead during stretches of stage 2. So keep in mind, Shane Van Gizzy, he's figuring these ovals out, at least the big ones. Obviously dominating on the road courses, but figuring it out at, getting time, logging laps at the front of the pack at super speedways. That's going to go a long way for somebody like him. William Byron finished 19th. Cody Ware finished 20th. Tyler Reddick, who had damage early, comes back, finishes 21st. Let's talk about Cody Ware for a sec, right? Cody Ware in that 51 Rick Ware racing machine, the Arby's Mochaccino Ford Dark Horse Mustang, was at the front of this field leading a number of laps. And I love the idea that Cody Ware can run at the front of the Cup field on a Saturday night in Daytona. I love that for us. So big shouts to Cody. I mean, not just riding around at the front, but really understanding, getting the experience and being there, being pushed by Brad Kay for a good extended period of time. And I don't know, I really was bought into into the wagon of Cody Ware might win at Daytona. And then he got to the front and I said, oh boy, this is more than just a group of people flapping their lips around talking about this. This could happen. All right, let's go back to some of the comments real quick. Cletus is going to save NASCAR. Cletus is going to be part of what introduces a new generation of fan to NASCAR for sure. At least it wasn't a crash fest. Yeah, that was something unique, right? At the very end of the race, we had a number of caution incidents or caution potential incidents that turned into nothing, where, Logano gets shuffled out. He was the caution with 8 to go. The controversy is going to be, did Joey Logano rip it through the grass to bring out a caution? I will let you all be the judge of that, but it sure did look like it to me. Comes spinning down off the corner after getting shuffled out, wants to save himself the opportunity to come down pit road and just wheels it through the grass where he knows he's going to need a tow back to his pit or a push back out of the grass. Is it right? I don't know. I'll let you all decide if it's right or not. But Logano absolutely, to me, seemed like he put his car in a place where he knew it was going to need assistance and brought the yellow out. We had some other incidents late. We had BJ McLeod, who had some issues late, didn't bring out a caution. There's another car too. Hold on. Let me go back and look. Timeline. Let's see. Yeah, AJ Allmendinger had an issue that didn't bring a caution out. BJ McLeod made contact with the outside wall, had a little bit of an issue there. And then Logano comes and draws a caution with his, after he gets shuffled by Eric Jones. So there were some caution-worthy incidents late, but nothing that derailed a finish that, we're used to seeing finishes at Daytona that are just total scrap heaps by the time they get through the end of the tri-oval. So no flips. That's right. Priest, even with all of his fighter pilot helmet artwork, managed to keep 4 on the floor and keep that car pointed in the right direction and not end up going skyward, which was great. Who are your, let's just get to your final four drivers. Who are they? Well, let's just relax. Let's just calm down for a second. So your playoff drivers are Kyle Busch, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain, and Joey Logano. That's 12. And then Josh Berry, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, and Alex Bowman. I have to pull up a schedule. Give me 1 second. Because this is how this is going to work, right? Because these, so Darlington, Worldwide Technology, and Bristol. Okay. Hold on. We're going back over here. So to me, I think there's only a real handful of endurance competitors in this playoff field, right? You've got all four Hendrick cars in. You've got Denny Hamlin in. You've got Christopher Bell in. You've got Chase Briscoe in. These are teams and drivers that are at the front of the field every single week. Kyle Busch is not in the playoffs. I don't know who said that. What did I say? Did I say Kyle Busch? I said Austin Dillon. Is that who I wanted to say? Kyle Larson, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain, Joey Logano, Josh Berry, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, and Alex Bowman. Maybe it was just like my subconscious grief at the current state of RCR and the 8 car coming out without me even realizing it. I really do think there's only a handful, though, of competitors, right? I think the Hendrick boys and the JGR guys are going to make the longest runs. Unfortunately, just because of the way that the first round is set up in terms of the tracks, I think Austin Dillon doesn't last long. I don't think Shane Van Gisbergen is going to last long, unfortunately. For me, the final four, I think Denny Hamlin's going to make his way into the final four. I think it's going to be Hamlin, Blaney, Bell. I feel like there's a wild card in there. Hamlin, Blaney, Bell, and Larson, to me, seem like the most realistic. Okay. Yeah. So Hamlin, Blaney, Bell, and Larson seem to be the most realistic to me. I think Chase Briscoe is someone who is right on the outside of my final four. I think Joey Logano is somebody that you can't count out ever. I know we're not the even year, odd year, whatever, whammy, black magic, good luck, bad luck time with him, but I don't think you can ever count him out. Even Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace had a great run here after he won it at the Brickyard. But I just, it's gonna be tough because there's gonna be so many different tracks, and I think Shane Van Gisbergen could have, if Shane Van Gisbergen can get out of the first round, he'll definitely get out of the second round because of the Roval. But I don't know about like the longevity of his playoff run because of the types of tracks he's going to have to run on in the way that he's had finishes at ovals already in this year. So you asked, that's it. It's Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, Bell. That's what makes sense to me. And I think it's even hard to say what Hendrick cars make it in. Those Hendrick cars are set up so well. They're almost interchangeable in terms of if we're talking about the final four now. I think it's way too early. But it's really early to talk about it. I'm gonna be straight with you. We look at Darlington and who's run well there traditionally. Darlington, Worldwide Technology, and Bristol. I think Denny Hamlin's going to win the championship this year, though. I do. I think that he has had a run of success that, based on the tracks that they're going to go to early in this playoff, there's not a track in this playoff schedule to me where I look at this and I go, yeah, he's not a contender. I don't know. I think the Hendrick cars have been built and set up really, really well to run at Darlington. We saw that with William Byron earlier in the year. Worldwide Technology, we've seen all kinds of crazy things happen there because there's fuel mileage factors, and I think that one's a little bit more of a toss-up. Bristol, I expect to see the 11 at the front. New Hampshire, again, I expect to see the 19, the 11. I expect to see those guys at the front. Kansas could be an opportunity for guys at 2311. It could be an opportunity for guys at Penske. It could be an opportunity for guys like Chase Elliott. 1.5 mile tracks. It's really circumstantial at some points of the race. Then we have the Roval. That finishes our round of 12, the Roval. Regardless of if he's in the playoffs or not, I do think Shane Van Gisbergen is going to win that race. Round of 8 is Las Vegas, Talladega, and Martinsville. Vegas, to me, I think is a great track. I love that track. I think there's some good racing that happens there. It can become a little bit of a snoozer when guys kind of get out and away. But yeah, I don't know. That's a fun place to see racing. So I don't know. I mean, we've seen Larson win there before a lot. So maybe that's his playground in the round of 8. Talladega's, who knows? Who knows? Martinsville, Blaney has always been a competitor there. I think Hamlin has always been great there. Byron has always been great there. Chase has been good there. The 19 has always been good at Martinsville as well. Christopher Bell's been good there. And then we go to Phoenix, and that's when Joey Logano will win the whole race and flip everybody upside down. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I don't think NASCAR can add a road course to every round of the playoff. I don't think that's what you're going to get. I love that energy. I love the energy. The tinfoil hat energy there, but I don't think that's going to work for them. I think they're closer to adjusting the playoff structure than they are to doing something like that. Now, how they adjust it to maybe better serve, their driver base is different. I don't know what they're going to do, but we'll see. Let's talk a little bit about Xfinity. A little Xfinity series. I thought this was the race of the weekend, honestly. I thought this was the race of the weekend. What do we think about this Xfinity race? I thought there was good moves all night. They all behaved themselves fairly well. There's really no big, giant big one. I don't think it was awful, That is true. That is true. When is it not the race of the weekend when they're not racing? Just especially, I feel like it's even more so at super speedways because of the aerodynamic package of that car. Just because of the way they're able to race around each other. They can do things without physically having to bump and grind and make contact with one another. So the added flavor of this race was that Connor Zilisch in the 88 still recovering from a collarbone injury. So they had to swap him out. Parker Kligerman gets in that 88 car. There was some rain. There was some red flagging. It gave them the chance to driver swap. Those junior motorsports cars, I tell you what, they must have cracked the code, whatever Richard Childress and that team over at RCR has been doing with super speedways, because usually the 2 and the 21 are my picks at the front. I anticipate they will win most of, if not all, of the drafting tracks on the Xfinity Series schedule. Now, for me, I think this couldn't have played out better. Parker Kligerman is someone who, if you looked at drivers who are members of a media community and just the way they interact with fans and the work that they do, the passion they have for the sport, I don't think you could ask for someone who deserved to win a race more than Parker Kligerman. And thank God above that it was Parker Kligerman that came home with the win in that 88 car. I know the points will say Zilich and it'll be a JRM win and this and that. Parker Kligerman crossed the finish line in that 88 to win that race. I know he's not going to keep the trophy. Roll out the red carpet for this man, please. Especially after running at Daytona earlier in the year in the truck. They pulled the win out from under him on some ridiculous tech inspection, whatever. This was like written to happen for Parker Kligerman. And I'm so glad that it did. Again, just you talk about deservingness, good for Junior Motorsports to give him the call. Good for the CW to give him the opportunity, even though he has his media obligations to be a reporter. It's great for everyone involved, and it's great for Parker. Yeah. So really excited for him. Really happy for him, if you can't tell. Sammy Smith, though, looked really great. Justin Allgaier, again, too, running in those Junior Motorsports cars at the end there, looked really, really fast. Jesse Love finished in fourth. Sam Mayer in fifth. We saw Brandon Jones kind of squeak away from that last lap wreck, as well as the 26 of Dean Thompson. When you watch that last wreck there where Austin Hill was going 4 wide and it was turning into a kind of a mess, Dean Thompson in that Sam Hunt Racing number 26 was just hugging that double yellow as tight as he could, knowing he was going to have to dart off down on the apron there for a second and just kind of scoot to his 7th place finish. Pretty good, though. And because of that wreck, we saw Garrett Smithley finishing 8th. Brendan Poole finished 9th. Carson Quapple rounds out the top 10. Harrison Burton, like you said here, having some fiberglass issues after that wreck. That crush panel, just came out of the car, I think is the way I understood that. Now, I'm not a tech expert or a safety expert by any means in those cars, but that ain't supposed to happen. So pretty crazy stuff in terms of what is the safety and efficacy of the car, especially at super speedways and speeds like that. I think that's something got to pay attention to that, right? That's not just a whoopsie. You know what I mean? Is this blurry to anybody else? Hold on. Oh, okay. Boop, 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 boop. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. That just looked really blurry to me. I don't know why. I cleaned my setup the other day to avoid that. Maybe a little fogginess happened down here. A little humidity in the studio. Anyway, Harrison Burton, though, finishing 16th. Sheldon Creed 17th. Josh Bilicki in the 91 in the top 20. Natalie Decker finishes 22nd. Eric Almirola gets caught in the middle of that wreck, finishes 24th. Austin Hill 25th. Ryan Sieg, who had been running toward the front of the pack all day long, just unfortunately shuffled out, turned around, doesn't work out for him. But yeah, this Xfinity race to me, this was the one, baby. This was the one. Carson Hocevar can't catch a break with the engine. Yeah, it's a Hendrick powered car. Those are Hendrick engines in those Spire machines. It was unfortunate. He looked like I thought I had him penciled in as someone who could have caused some ruckus late. Let's see. Where is it? I just want the list, the incident list from the final lap. They're not going to give me a final lap, what the caution was, or they didn't call a caution. That's why. They didn't call a caution, so they're not going to show it in their report. Anyway, just wanted to see who they actually credited as being caught in that last lap wreck. I'm going to watch it. I can't show it on the stream because then I'll go right to YouTube jail. But yeah, it's just a deal here where, the first two, Parker's way out in front, 2 rows behind him are 2 by 2. And then the third row is three wide. And it starts to get messy, right? It looks like interlocking like puzzle pieces here as these guys who are 3 wide start to catch that second row of 2 wide. The top line wants to go. There's a middle line that wants to go and push as well. And then the 48, I believe it is, this Baduki juice quality I have here is not awesome on this computer right now. Gets shuffled high, right? And now we're 4 wide. Austin Hill shoves the 48 high on the outside line, sends them 4 wide. You've got the 20, the 14, the 21, and the 48. Meanwhile, Eric Almirola in the 19 is shoving the second row forward in that 14 car. And Austin Hill, I mean, the 48 doesn't stay all the way to the tip top. He wants to side draft the 21, who just shoved him out of line on the last lap at Daytona. The 21 and the 48 made contact. They bump and bang there up at the top of the track. And ultimately, the 21 can't hang on to it and just noses down into that row beneath him. And it just, the carnage happens from there. The whole top 2 rows, 3 rows there doesn't make it out alive. But yeah, a lot of good cars caught in that final lap incident in the Xfinity Series. Now, the Xfinity Series schedule for the playoffs. Let's talk about it. Is this not connected? I guess it is. Huh. All right. We've got quite a schedule. It's similar to what we see, we've got 2 more regular season races for Xfinity, Portland and Worldwide Technology. That'll finish out their year. Portland's always a fun race. Enjoy this race for Xfinity at Portland because I don't know if we'll see another race at Portland ever in any series. They'll go to Worldwide Technology Center or Worldwide Technology Raceway after that. And that'll be their season finale. Now we've got the playoff standings here, the playoff picture for the Xfinity Series, right? So Connor Zilich is far out and away the points leader with, I guess now 8 wins, right? Technically. Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill, Sam Mayer, Jesse Love, Brandon Jones, Sammy Smith, Nick Sanchez, Carson Quapple, Sheldon Creed, Taylor Gray, and Harrison Burton rounding out the top 12. Okay. Let me get the schedule going. All right, round of 12, right? So we're at the round of 12, 12 drivers in the playoff. I just want to make sure. They have a shorter, hold on, losing my mind. They have a shorter playoff schedule. So they only run top 12. Okay. So they'll have 2 more races to decide who their top 12 is truly locked in the Xfinity Series. Jeb Burton, Ryan Sieg, Dean Thompson, all kind of on the outside looking in there. Dean Thompson, 72 points below the cut line. Ryan Sieg, 56 points below the cut line. And Jeb Burton, 36 points below. Harrison Burton, 36 points to the good. Taylor Gray, 67. And Sheldon Creed, 84 points. Carson Kvapil, 120. But all those drivers without wins this year. Everyone else locked in. Top 8 locked in on wins thus far in the Xfinity Series. So, this isn't a hot take. I don't even think we need a Final Four for Xfinity. If Connor Zilisch doesn't win the Xfinity Series championship, there's something wrong here. The same with the Truck Series. If Corey Heim doesn't win the Truck Series championship, there's something wrong there too. These are 2 drivers that have outperformed their competition by a wide margin week in and week out. The teams have also outperformed those they've competed against as well. So there would be something very disastrously wrong if Zilisch and Heim don't end up being the champions of their respective series this year. The 88 is my pick to win. Maybe you get a Final Four where it's. I'd like to see Connor Zilisch, Justin Allgaier. I think those 2 are gimmies. I'm going to put Sheldon Creed in my Final Four. Just, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling something there. And let's toss Jesse Love in the mix. I like Jesse Love in the mix there too. But again, I don't think it's anybody's championship to lose but Connor Zilisch's. So keep that in mind as we get up and we get going through the Xfinity Series playoffs. 2 more weeks, though. Like I said, Portland and Worldwide Technology Center. Jesse Love is the at RCR right now, in my opinion. He's the Tyler Reddick, for those of us who remember. That's what this feels like again. It's just going to be up to Richard Childress Racing to decide if they're going to make the investment in Jesse Love or if they're going to let somebody else make the investment in Jesse Love and lure him away to another team like what happened with Reddick. So we talk about RCR a lot on this stream, on this show. I hope good things for them. But I know we heard a little bit from Austin Dillon earlier this week about kind of the conversations that are had between himself and his brother and his grandfather about the future of the team. And just kind of what it's going to take to make things shift over there, to reprioritize some things that are very important to their team and their sponsors and the way that they can compete throughout the field. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens for sure. Some less related things to the series themselves. Oh, yeah, that's true too. I have some news I have to go through. There was some off-track news. We got the cover for NASCAR 25. If you haven't seen it by now. We'll get to Dodge in a second because there's a few things to talk about for Dodge. The cover for NASCAR 25 was released. The game looks good. I'm excited about it. I am. I'm gonna give it a shot. We're gonna do some streams with it. We're gonna try to really be excited about it. I don't know if it's gonna be more. I don't know what to expect, to be honest, because Heat 5 and all that was a certain level of, I'll see you later. Heat 5 was around for so long, and it was all we had. NASCAR Ignition really wasn't anything to write home about. I think people were frustrated with that. And a lot of people ended up going over to iRacing, and there was less of this pathway kind of driven game where, okay, well, you're going to go through and you're going to start a team, and you're going to have to drive a certain way, and you're going to have to, it wasn't the same as like NASCAR games we've had, the EA games and NR 2003 and all these different games. So really excited to see what comes of it, what players do with it. I really hope they're open to feedback and collaboration with the community, like kind of the way iRacing is. And I know they're going to do iRacing is also going to come out with an arcade version of iRacing, which years ago was kind of joked about and is now a reality. I think there's some good ways for people to get involved and scratch that itch. That isn't just iRacing. So you'll have iRacing, NASCAR 25, you'll have iRacing Arcade, you'll have all these different things and all these new innovative ways for people to kind of get hands-on with racing and the racing world virtually. So very cool stuff there. Talking about Dodge. We're talking about Dodge, the Truck Series. Colleague Racing will field at least 5 cars or 5 trucks. Dodge Ram trucks next year in the Craftsman Truck Series. So keep your eye open for that. They made that announcement this past weekend. A lot of trucks. That's a lot of trucks to me. So I think there's more to come in terms of the Truck Series. And then based on that performance, I think Colleague's had a pretty good truck program in the past, right? So with a rejuvenation and a new injection of resource, I think they really could be competitive in that Truck Series. So I know they announced this at Daniel Dye's family's dealership down in Florida. So there's something connected there as well. I don't know. That's kind of a tinfoil hat part of this conversation that nobody's really sure about. And then there's rumors that Cup teams will start to inquire about new OEs and about Dodge. Will RCR go down the path of Dodge? I don't know. The word I've heard from a few people and people who've heard from people around the garage, they kind of feel like it's real. Now, for me, something that large of a news piece, I'm going to have to see it from an accredited source, an accredited journalist who has, from the horse's mouth. So I'm here for the rumors. I'm here to peddle rumors for sure. But there's definitely I definitely am not going to sit here and buy into it right away. I do think there has to be something that changes for RCR for sure. I don't know if it's going to be as extreme as an manufacturer shift, but there certainly does have to be some changes in the offseason this year for RCR. Obviously, Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch will be back in those cars again next year, signing 1-year extensions. But it seems like there will be some shifting around that happens, maybe from an organizational standpoint, as they look to kind of evolve into the future. Obviously, Austin Dillon winning at Richmond helps those programs, gets them into the playoffs, gets them a little extra resource. So I don't know if we see Kyle Busch. I mean, do we see Kyle Busch win again in the Cup Series is my question. I sure hope so. I sure hope we do. It would be just crushing to see him just quietly fade out of this series. And it's something that he doesn't deserve either. He deserves to be celebrated and win races and be competitive to a degree before he decides that it's time to retire. So I really hope whatever they're doing over there, they can figure it out, at least so Kyle Busch can be a little bit more competitive. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what the word is out of RCR. We did get a sneak peek. William Byron. The funniest thing, isn't it? He's got a new girlfriend, not Sabrina Carpenter. She's standing there on pit road with him. Is there the irony of Ryan Blaney winning this race after William Byron and his lovely new partner here are spotted together in front of the camera on pit road? I don't know. There's something there. Just funny. Bubba Wallace, too. We're talking about just running down a list of topics here, causing the wreck early in the race. Not clear. Maybe got a little bit of help from Larson from behind, but Bubba, Logano, Kyle Busch getting together early in stage one. I think the worst part of this wreck is that Bubba can't hold it down. Can't hold it down to the bottom of the track. And unfortunately, comes back up and takes out a few along the way. So we lost the 47, the 2, the 8. We lost the 11. Well, for the most part, it was a big one. I don't know. I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide. Let's see. At the moment of the crash there, I think in this incident, without showing it to you all and kind of working through it live, the 23 is looking to chase the 12. Thinks he has that line. The 22 is kind of out of position, but there's a line forming behind him, and the 5 is just kind of floating out behind the 23. And I don't know. It's to me, I don't think there's anything intentional here, or there's any. I just think it's a mistake that gets made, and it's part of racing hard. Do I wish that it happened in the first stage? No. To me, this is a wreck that happens late in the race. Trying to compete for a finishing position, but it was just the way the cookie crumbled on them there. Oh my goodness. So that was one to talk about too. I didn't think it was crazy. Let's see. Let me run down. We talked about schedule changes last week. First stage, they were all racing like it was the last stage. Yeah, it was a choice. I don't know. It was a choice to run that hard at that point of the race. I don't get it. It took out so many good cars so early. I listened to a little bit of Actions Detrimental last night, and Denny's talking about how he's had just the most awful luck at super speedways. And a lot of guys have had the most awful luck in this next gen era at super speedways. It's not easy. All right, let me go back through here because we're getting distracted by Twitter in a big way. Bum, 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 ba-da-da. Well, put Busch in the 23 and that car wins every week. Well, that's not the deal he wanted. Kyle Busch wanted the big money RCR deal, and he got it. He got the big money deal. Uh-oh. Mighty? Is he coming in here to wreck my live stream? I hope not. If Kyle Larson came into my live stream, I don't know what I would do. That'd be something special, I'll tell you. Anyway, that's kind of the Twitter roundup. I didn't see any really controversial tweets this week. Last week, we had a lot to talk about in terms of the Twitter sphere and what was happening on Twitter. And we had a great ATYL live. We had a great ATYL live on Wednesday night. It's been a busy week for us in the NASCAR world. Big Glenn, what's up, man? How are we doing? It was a busy week for us. I was really curious. You know, we talked about the Mamba tweet, and then he went on the podcast, and Harvick grilled him. And then they had a clip of Harvick that they posted, then deleted. I'm just going to just say a prayer for that social media manager. As a social media manager myself, I saw all that unfolding, and I was like, what a just absolute firestorm of community management this poor social media manager is going through right now to try and just keep up with these outside factors that they are having to deal with. So thought it was interesting the way they handled that. Mamba continues to double down on some of his takes and some of his statements and let people know how great of a life he's living and all the success he's had racing and a lot of other things. I am no longer interested in anything from him in terms of journalistic ethics or reporting. Just not, it's not the way, it's not for me. So I think you got to come out and own some things sometimes. And I don't know. Everybody makes their own choices. What did you think about the 22 situation? You mean where he brought out the caution by going down into the grass? I thought it was absolutely a strategy play for the 22 team and for Team Penske to get themselves back in a position to put that car back out at the front of the field. That's what I think. I think a lot of people think that. I don't think it's wrong to think that either. I think there was definitely something there where was it avoidable? Was it a potentially avoidable situation? Absolutely. I think it could have been. Something I do want to talk about, though. What if Ryan Blaney doesn't win this race? What if one of those other 5 drivers that needed to win and get in won this race? What if? What if the 41 of Cole Custer crosses that finish line first? For me this week, I was all about the chaos leading into Daytona in the Cup Series. I wanted all of it. All the chaos. Give it to me. I wanted to see them blow the bracket away, the playoff system away. And that's what would have happened. I think it was a broader strategy for me, where if a driver outside of the top 25 or 30 won again, there would have been no hiding the fact that the playoff system is broken. Anyway. I really was excited to see maybe some of the controversy come out of this race because of it. So we'll see if it was enough to kind of promote a little bit of change where it's, okay, we flew pretty close to the sun on this from the NASCAR perspective, from the 10th floor perspective. And will they make some changes next year? I know Ben Kennedy said they were looking at it potentially to make some changes to the playoff format. But they were going to take their time and make sure they got it right. So we'll see if there's any adjusting there that happens. ATYL Media, though, this weekend was featured on Brayton Laster's car in the ARCA series. The Slide Job Sal logo was on a race car, ladies and gentlemen, an ARCA race car. How you doing? Look at us rising up to the top, baby. The ATYL family of shows was down there on the right rear of Brayton Laster's ARCA car. So that was really cool. Appreciate him, the pizza man, out there doing it every week. Hell or high water, he's racing. So kudos to him. Props. Big thanks to Taylor for setting that up. That was really cool. Get that message on Friday or Saturday. I believe it was a career best finish for Brayton Laster as well. I don't know. I'll have to look. I will have to look at the ARCA. ARCA doesn't they don't put the ARCA results in with the NASCAR.com stuff. So you have to go all over the place to find it. How many shows are there at ATYL? Well, that's a great question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9 shows. We have Nitro Nation with Big Duke. We got ATYL Live with the whole crew. Taylor Kitchen anchoring the program every Wednesday night. We've got Splash and Dash Morning Show. That's it. That's where you're at right here on ATYL Media, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as the Slide Job Sal TikTok. That's every Monday morning. We got Goat Talk, the Goat Locker Racing program. We've got 4 Laps with Andrea and MJ. On Tour with Buddy Pulley. Track Limits with John DeRugeris. There's another ATYL show above the yellow line, as it is a post-race video series that Taylor does. That is different than ATYL Live. Running Retro, that's Ben Branscom's project. A little bit of throwback history in the motorsports world. He brings that to you every once in a while. And then obviously there's the ATYL just general, that's all the shows under the general badge of ATYL, at least for the time being. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows, including the one you are tuning into right now. You can see a full list of the shows above the media.com. You can follow along on social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all over the place. So if you're interested in learning more, we've got all kinds of great things. Oh, look, there's a clip of us. Oh no, this is the live stream from Wednesday night. So content comes out a couple of times a week. Clips come out, promos come out. We do a lot of different things, trying to continue to stay at the forefront of a lot of NASCAR media. Plus, we just like to have fun. We like to have fun. All right, I'm getting distracted by Twitter. Oh, something else to note too. Not that we talk about IndyCar a whole lot on here, but I think it was a big deal. Who's this? Christian Rasmussen, right? Wins at the Milwaukee Mile in IndyCar. Round IndyCar is, I don't know, something special to me. I think more circles, more ovals for IndyCar. I know maybe the drivers don't. I like it. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Open wheel, any kind of open wheel oval to me, I think is that much more exciting. So that's his first career win. He wins it in the Splenda machine. Who's he race for? I forget who he races for. Who's he race for? Come on. Show me. That doesn't say the team name, the 21. Anyway. I think a lot of people were excited that Rasmussen won this race because Alex Palou didn't. After winning as many events as he has this year, he was searching for his 10th IndyCar win this year. And Rasmussen kind of spoils the party for him in a very checkers or wreckers style pass with 16-ish laps to go. You could see him starting to set this move up and just rips around him on the outside just as hard as he can. So really awesome racing there from IndyCar this weekend. I have not looked much at F1 recently either. So I don't have too many F1 updates. Speaking of open wheel ovals, I always give my little update about my experience weekly at Wall Stadium Speedway. Give us a Cody Ware Coke 0400 champion. It would have been nice. Anyway, I always like to give a little bit of perspective into the local short track racing scene out here where I am. Wall Stadium Speedway in Wall Township, New Jersey. We were back this week. We crowned a limited late model champion, Radiant Ray Maneri, his first track championship. Won his first race back in 2010 at Wall. Limited late model series, unfortunately, just doesn't attract a ton of guys because the tire package and the cars are so expensive, and we only end up with about 6 of them every week. But I tell you what, for 6 cars, these guys are throwing haymakers at each other. So it was great to be able to see that happen. Ray Maneri comes all the way out from Riverhead every week to run his limited late at Wall. So there was some drama this week in the modifieds. The operator, James Blewett, was black flagged by officials. They had to double hook him up, tow him to the infield after officials felt that he caused a wreck that resulted in a car being unable to complete the race. The rule at Wall Stadium is that if you cause the wreck, you finish or you restart behind the guy that was in the incident, you caused the incident. So to the pit, and he didn't want to go to the pit. A lot of video out there you'll see if you follow Jimmy on Instagram. I'm not here to make the call. I don't envy the position of race director or race official when it comes time to look back at the video and, you know, decide who's at fault for any of those things. I'm sure there's going to be lots of people with lots of opinions, but definitely a scene to see a car up in the air, all fours off the track. I don't think I'd ever seen that before. Factory stocks were a great show as well. I believe we had a first-time winner. We did. We had a first-time winner, one of the younger drivers in the field. Name's going to escape me right now because my brain is like a bowl of oatmeal. Hi, Mike. Thank you for the roses. Also, Chris, thank you for the heart. I appreciate that, Chris. Hope you had a good weekend. We had a good sportsman race as well. We went late into the night, though. We were late into the night at Wall Stadium. I think the last race finally finished at about 11 o'clock, 11:30. It was a pretty long one, and then we all tried to skate out of there as quick as we could to get home. I got to skate out of there. I had to skate out of there early because I needed to wake up early to run the NIS Daytona race yesterday morning. If anybody was tuned into the stream, we ran that race. Finished P6, pushed the leader to the win. And then got wrecked. So it was a fun race, though. I lost a lot of safety rating, but I always have fun running at Daytona. It's really just one of those things where you're snoozing along until you're not, and then it's time to wake up and go. So I don't know. I was working with a guy who I was kind of being friendly with, and then at the end of the race was very friendly with because we were helping each other. He happened to be in front of me on the final restart, and the deal was like, you know, my big thing with iRacing, especially the NIS races, is you just don't get desperate. If you're gonna it's not worth not finishing the race to finish a position behind. And everybody wants to win. We went through this conversation yesterday at length during the stream. Why wouldn't you try to win? Well, you are trying to win, but you can't win unless you're in a position to finish the race. That's the whole concept of iRacing in general. So I don't do the iRacing show here on ATYL. Those are questions you can ask Duke in his show on Nitro Nation. He talks a lot of NHRA, but Duke is well-renowned in the iRacing space. He met Carson Osavar this weekend at Daytona, and Carson Osavar recognized him. That's how ingrained into the iRacing culture. Big Duke. Duke! We love Duke. But yeah, the NIS race at Daytona is a blast. So I'm interested to see kind of if we can continue to do some more of those on Sunday mornings. I will continue to do them. So they're fun. But yeah, here we are, Daytona. Second Daytona in the books. Feeling real rough for Kyle Busch fans. I don't know. I feel like that could have been better. Feeling it for Zane Smith as well. Unfortunate for him. Loving things for Parker Kligerman in the Xfinity Series. What is the next race that I am attending? That's a good question. I will probably not be able to make another race this year in person for myself. I am already looking to the schedule for next year for a lot of what I'm going to be doing. I don't get out to as many races as I ever want to. Darlington, we're South Carolina, Illinois, Tennessee are the next three. The only one I would really foreseeably get out to is Bristol, but Saturday, September 13th is I have an obligation to be at the Martin Truex Senior Memorial Race at Wall Stadium Speedway, so I will not be able to go to the Bass Pro Shop night race. New Hampshire Motor Speedway is one that I've talked about going to quite a bit. That might be a day trip for me on Sunday, September 21st. I have a birthday. My other half has her birthday on the 20th. So that's a birthday weekend. Gentlemen know when it's the ladies' birthday weekend, the ladies get to make up the plans. So it's really kind of up to her in that place, in that one. Inconvenient in the schedule, though, because the races after that are even further out. We've got Kansas, which, Kansas, the Roval, which could be a little bit of a hike, but might be one that I can get to. And then the last few of the year, Vegas, Talladega are absolutely, I cannot. Martinsville is kind of in my neck of the woods, but then there's Phoenix. So also, too, toward the end of the year, October 26th is Martinsville, and then November 2nd is the Cup Series Championship that Sunday. You won't see much of Sal those few weeks, which is unfortunate because these are the last 2 weeks of the year. We're going to crown our champion. We're going to go off of a round of we're going to lock in the round of 4, the final 4. You'll see me on the 26th. I will be there for that week, and then Championship Sunday, I will kind of disappear because I have a work engagement. I travel for work every year on that week of November. So it keeps things, kind of in a tight place for me while I'm traveling and doing other things as well. Don't love it, but the job pays the bills first. So. Briscoe going to the Final Four. What's a good, what we can talk about in here that, everybody can try to debate on is who will win the most popular driver award. Who will win that award this year? Will Chase Elliott win the most popular driver award again this year? I think there's a real chance this year that he could be dethroned. I think he could be dethroned. I think it's going to happen this time. Ryan Blaney, to me, has been very obviously the front runner for most popular driver, to me. Now, I do think I see SVG on here, and I see Elliott, or I see Carson Hocevar. I think there's more competition in the most popular driver conversation now than there's ever been. So I look forward to seeing it change. I would love to see Carson Hocevar win it. I don't know if he will. I think there's enough people that villainize him as this young punk kid that don't give 2 rips about the respect of the racing. I think there's a lot of that still, which I don't particularly agree with. But it's going to make it hard to gain a certain demographic of vote in a popular driver contest. I think Blaney's got the best shot And I think SVG, unfortunately, while very popular, and I can confirm this, some of the best things that I have done this year in terms of content and creating video and weekends of this show. So the Splash and Dash Morning Show has not had a better weekend than the Watkins Glen win weekend for SVG. There's a lot of people out there that love SVG and want to see SVG thriving and hear people talk about it. So to me, I think there's a big push for that, but I think there's a lot of people out there that would also not vote for SVG because he's not, there's so many reasons they could naysay him. But I think Blaney is a shoo-in this year to finally make it happen. Where did I get this button up from? My Furniture Row Martin Truex Jr. button up. I bought this at the hauler back in, goodness gracious, 2000 and it was Truex's last year with Furniture. It was the last year of Furniture Row. So he won in 17. What did they do? They ran in 18 and 19? No, they ran in 18. And then 19, he switched to the 19, right? That was when he won that Richmond race. I'm looking around for it. Yeah, Richmond 19 playoff race. He won with Joe Gibbs, I think. So yeah, 2018, I believe that was at Dover. I am quite the collector of Martin Truex Jr. things. I've collected a lot of MTJ things. What happened to James Blewett at Wall on Saturday? Well, we just talked about that a little bit. James came out of the front stretch and came up high, entering turn 1 in front of another competitor, the Double O car. The Double O car had to check up. And the car behind the Double O drove through him because of the checkup. And the officials felt that the 76, because of that move up to the outside, and because that was what forced the 00 to check, and that's ultimately what caused the wreck, that was what happened to James. They black flagged James for causing the wreck because the rule at Wall is you restart behind the person that is involved in the wreck that you cause, which isn't a rule that I disagree with. I think that's a good way to kind of police some things. But I think there's discretion that has to happen. But that was the reason. The 27 was the one caught in the wreck, ultimately, ended up going back to the pit. The 00 did continue. The whole back of the car was just destroyed, but the 00 did return and continue. But the 76 was black flagged because he would not go to the pit. And that's what happened with James Blewett out on Wall on Saturday. Not here to tell you if I think it's right or wrong. I have to be objective in that situation because I don't want to get involved in what the officiating crew decides. They decide it, and that's it. Right, wrong, and different. They get a lot right. They get a lot wrong. They get a lot in between. That's part of racing. So I know there's some video floating around there online of it. I would just ask that everyone try to see it from all sides. I think you gotta just see it from all sides. Yeah. And there's things that you're going to see online and in video that look different from other angles and from other places around the track that maybe you don't have a view of on your phone. And officials maybe had that's something that I'm sure they'll talk through this week and decide what to forward. But that is the rule. I think it was one that got changed. Turkey Derby is a big deal, and Turkey Derby gets out of control in a hurry sometimes when guys just start to give each other the chrome horn, and in an effort to discourage just running through each other on restarts, because that's usually where the issues happen on these small local short tracks. I think that was part of the reason they fired that rule up, was because just behave until you can get rolling. Race during the race, I think, is what their kind of perspective is as part of that rule. So I know that's similar. There's similar rules in the Cars Tour and in some other places as well. But yeah, I think it's a good one. James was leading the modified points lead though for the season. So how that will affect his campaign to potentially win a modified championship in his a track championship in his first season, I don't know what that will entail. Nobody has said anything just yet. So anyway, let's go back over here. Kyle Larson will win in St. Louis. Okay. Big Glenn's going to be at Worldwide Technology Center in St. Louis. Or that's in Illinois, isn't it? Isn't that track in Illinois? Or is it like right on the border? I don't know geography of the Midwest at all. Where are you? Madison, Illinois. Madison, Illinois. I don't know in relation to St. Louis where that is. So big East Coast guy. Big East Coast guy. Don't know the Midwest whatsoever. I know there's a river out there. We have given Final Four predictions, but we can talk about it some more because we've got about a half an hour here till the end of the show, and I've kind of covered off on everything I've wanted to talk about. Frosty, what's your Final Four? Chat, I want to hear what your Final Four predictions are. Let's compare notes, kids. Let's talk about it. South on the best coast. East Coast, best coast? The only thing that's not the best thing about the East Coast is the winter. I love seasons. I don't think I could live in California where it's just summer all the time. I'd get a little exhausted. But I do enjoy seasons. But what I don't enjoy is the blistering, raw, wet cold that we get in like late December to mid-March. I could do without that. Anyway, James got Logano, Briscoe, Hamlin, and Larson. Larson, Bell, Elliott, and Hamlin. A lot of Larson in here. Larson, Briscoe, Blaney, and Hamlin. I like seeing Hamlin brought up in here a number of times. So for me, I also have Larson. I do feel, though, that the Hendrick cars are very interchangeable in a Final Four, especially the 5 and the 24. But I do think it'll be Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, and Bell. That is my pick. I think Christopher Bell ran a great early part of this season, and it's just he's been lying dormant, waiting to get hot at the right time. I saw that there was a real flash of that early year Christopher Bell late in the race at Dover, and he just pulled the old Kyle Larson stepping on myself move. But I think Christopher Bell is somebody who could be sneaky, has one of the best average finishes. I think the tracks that they're going back to in the playoffs really cater to his racing style. So, I don't think it's a wild take because Christopher Bell is a multi-time race winner this year. So. Cindric or Blaney, it's a lock. You heard it here first. Blaney, I think, has a much better chance. Cindric, though, in the playoffs, has a chance to win. Can't count out anybody. If you're in it, you have a chance to win it. Byron, Larson, Hamlin, and Blaney. Byron, Bell, Blaney, and Logano. Okay. I like these picks. Everybody seems to be kind of the same thought process here. A couple of different things, which I think, Briscoe, I think is one for me that's just on the outside of my Final Four. For personally, I think that car is set up really well. I think Briscoe has kind of really gotten that new feel at JGR. I think he's one that could do it. Byron again, too. I said it earlier. Byron and Larson, to me, are interchangeable. I think either one of those guys could take that spot. I think Denny winning the championship this year is my pick. The lore that would be written about Denny Hamlin winning his first NASCAR Cup Series championship in the midst of a lawsuit with the sanctioning body would be unbelievable. I want it for the headline. There's not one driver that I am a fan so much of that I need to see them win like I was when Truex was racing. So to me now, I'm just here for the fun, you know? Do you think Mark Martin's words will have any effect on the sport? They seem to have an effect already. I don't know what kind of effect. It certainly gives fans some validation that they are feeling similar feelings to someone of the racing caliber of Mark Martin online. So I would say that has been the most impactful part of what Mark Martin has done. I know he sits on a few councils inside of NASCAR for playoffs and for competition and some other things. So I hope that they take Mark Martin's words seriously and they listen to him as someone who's competed in racing of all types for, my God, his whole life. He's the kind of racer that if you're bringing up a young competitor now, that's someone you want them to be like, in my opinion. So yeah, I hope that it makes an impact for sure. Mark Martin just came out with a revamped Winn-Dixie line of apparel. I guess he's doing something with them now. It's sponsorship, in terms of sponsorship, but all this cool throwback stuff that's happening with Mark Martin. Very cool. Check it out on his social media. Briscoe is the long shot. Any Penske car in the Final Four is a real threat for the championship. I agree. Roval and Talladega. Cindric and RFK prevents Hendrick from winning. Could be. Talladega being in the playoffs to me is just it makes it so tough to really. It makes it so tough. Let's see. Hold on. Blaney, Larson, Hamlin, and Byron. Okay. I think Bubba has the best chance. He will have great cars and has super speedway excellence. Bubba is a guy who runs really well at super speedways, at Talladega. That'll be a playoff race, so you never know. Who's the dark horse for the Final Four? Someone no one is talking about. You want like a realistic dark horse, or you want me to say that Austin Dillon is the dark horse for the Final Four? I feel like the dark horses for the Final Four, they're not dark horses because they're still really strong competitors. Do you think SVG has enough points to slide through the first round? It's going to be close. It's going to be close, and he's going to have to get finishes in the first round, right? He can't just show up and park it. He's got to win races, or he's not to win races. Sorry, hold on. Ooh. He has to be competitive in these races. He can't just lay back. So to me, it's going to be really tight for SVG. My dark horse for the Final Four, it's between Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick for me. Chase has had a lot of great finishes this year, a lot of consistent finishes, but we know the way that this format rewards championships. We know the way it works. You have to win to advance. You have to win the championship. That is why the 9 is my dark horse. I don't think you can discredit the level of competitiveness that car and that team has had this year. I know a lot of Chase Elliott fans are not happy. They're not happy with Alan Gustafson. They're not happy that the car hasn't won more races this year. But this is a driver and a team that consistently are finishing top 5 all the time. Brayton Laster joined. Brayton, thanks for being here. Thanks for putting us on your car this week. Thank you. We were talking about you earlier. Appreciate it. Anyway, it was awesome to see that stuff out there, man. We appreciate it. All the work that you do at ATYL and with Taylor and with all of us. It's so dope to see the show logo on the side of a real deal ARCA racing machine. So I appreciate that. That's really cool. When Taylor texted me that morning, I was like, what? So very cool. Yeah, big hearts in the chat for Brayton, everybody. I have a feeling if Reddick wins once, he might go on a smoke run like 2020. I think Reddick is due for a win, even if he's, in the playoff, eliminated I think he's due for a win, though. That team has been coming with a full head of steam. I do, though. I think the dark horses for the championship, though. I think the 9 and the 45 make a lot of sense to me. Two different situations, two different ways that those two teams have kind of been able to run this year, I think those are strategies, right? You know, the 45 team has really come prepared for the races they felt like they can win and be good at. And they're pretty good everywhere. It's hard for me to look back and think, oh, wow, the 45 Reddick doesn't have a win this year. And I can't remember that if they do or they don't, because I just assume that they've won one. Like, to me, that's the caliber of racer and race team that 45 team is. So I don't know. I also have a hard time counting out Joey Logano. You know, Joey Logano is a guy who, Penske in general, the way they approach their strategy for the playoff, don't hate the player, hate the game. You know, they strategically place themselves in situations throughout the playoff and throughout the season, really, to do what they need enough to get them to where the real competition starts. And that is now. So to me, you know, I wouldn't count out the 22. Ryan Blaney, obviously, I think has been great all season. So has Joey's been okay all season. I don't know about Austin Cindric coming out of that camp. Great that he makes the playoff. I think that helps him and that 2 team. My first round outs, though, I mean, Austin Dillon to me, Josh Berry, and probably probably Shane Van Gisbergen, honestly. Cindric might make it through. It really depends on finishing position, and it's going to be a whole banana mess. I don't know. It's going to be somebody brought the point up that could SVG make it through on points through the first round? I don't know the answer to that. It's going to be very close. 45 team hasn't put a whole race together yet. Yeah, it seems like they have flashes, and then something happens. Like it's on pit road or an unfortunate situation on track. Brayton's got SVG making the Final Four. That's bodacious, I'll tell you. Oh, another SVG Final Four has entered the chat. All right. Okay. All right. I like it. I'm here for it. I am here for a little bit of shake up. I wouldn't be upset if SVG made the Final Four. I think it would be wild to see him make like a meteoric run through this playoff format, this season. Tyler's really good at Darlington. That's why I think that 45 team will end up with something. We've seen Eric Jones run really good at Darlington. Kyle Busch runs really good at Darlington. I'm still on the Kyle Busch is going to, my heart can't walk back not seeing Kyle Busch win a race 2 years in a row. I'm having a hard time with it. He could win at Darlington. Chase Briscoe has won at Darlington in the past. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin. Darlington is going to be a barn burner, I think. Austin Dillon makes the final 8. He showed good speed at Daytona. They've had something set up since that Richmond win. I don't know. I don't know. I have a hard time like putting money on that. I'd have a tough time on that front. Darlington is the first race, though. Let's see. What was the Darlington finishing results last year? Let's find out. 2024 Southern 500. Let's take a peek ski here. Nick, thank you for following the live. I appreciate it. Split G2 bow hunting has the 88, the 20, the 5, and the 11 in the Final Four. That would be wild. Anyway, okay, in 2024, this race last year, Chase Briscoe won this race in the 14 for SHR. Kyle Busch finished second. Christopher Bell finished in third. Kyle Larson finished fourth. Ross Chastain finished in fifth. Buescher, Hamlin, Logano, and Corey LaJoie at the time. Corey LaJoie and then Tyler Reddick wrap out the top 10. So there's, if we're going off of last year, Chastain pulls out the win at Darlington, then Blaney at Worldwide Tech, and Hamlin at Bristol. That, I think, makes the most sense. I don't know about Chastain at Darlington. I mean, he runs really well here. I'm not saying he can't win, but I think Blaney at Worldwide and then Hamlin at Bristol, to me, seems like it makes too much. Hamlin and Larson are going to duke it out at Bristol. That'll be a fun one. The way that they've both been able to run there this year, I think that'll be a fun race to watch. This was the race last year. Martin Truex got into Ryan Blaney on lap 1, and I cried the rest of the race. Yeah, I cried. I cried for 500 laps. Since Dover, Blaney has an average finish of 4.8. Yeah, he's coming alive at the right time. He's coming alive at the right time. Brad Keselowski and that RFK team have run really well here in the past as well. 17 has run good at Darlington. This is always a race, too, that a lot of Cup drivers jump down to the Xfinity Series to run. And it's always one that's kind of controversial because they win a lot of these races, right? So last year, Christopher Bell won this race in the 20 car. Cole Custer finished second. Sheldon Creed third. Chase Elliott fourth. Sammy Smith fifth. Shane Van Gisbergen in the 97 Xfinity entry finished seventh. Chandler Smith in the 81 finished 8th. Austin Hill finished 9th. Justin Allgaier finished 10th. Now, to say that again, though, too, Ross Chastain raced in this race in the Xfinity Series last year, finished 12th, ultimately led him to a better finish in the Cup Series. Noah Gragson ran this race last year as well in the Xfinity Series. There's a lot of entries for this race. Joey Logano also raced in this race in the Xfinity Series, too. So Darlington is always an interesting place because you're riding on the edge of disaster at all times. You don't know. At a moment's notice, you could derail your entire day. You're ripping that outside wall. To me, though, Darlington, you'd have to really. You're going to have to bring something special to beat that 2014. I think they're coming back with a vengeance after what happened to them earlier this year. They have those cars set up to run in clean air really, really well. It didn't work out for him earlier this year. Once he got caught back in traffic on the restarts, it was over. But I just feel like there's the revenge of Rudy Fugle is going to be there. I think William Byron obviously can run that race, run a clinic in that car on that track. So I don't know. I think for me, we've talked a little bit about who we think is going to make the Final Four. We've talked about who we think is going to not advance in the next round of the playoffs. Hold on, I got to sneeze. Oh, that was a big sneeze. Sorry, guys. Anyway, we talked about the Final Four, a little bit about the first round, who we think is going to be in and who we think is going to be out. But, yeah, it should be interesting in terms of who's going to win the race at Darlington. Oh, we didn't talk about this yet. Connor Zilisch, full-time for Trackhouse next year in the Cup Series. We kind of knew that was going to happen, right? It was a deal where the Suarez contract we knew could come to an end. And it makes a lot of sense that Connor Zilisch is going to go run full-time. Do I think he's going to do what he's doing this year in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series next year? I don't think so. I think there's going to be a learning curve because the cars are so different. Driving the Xfinity car and then jumping into the Cup car, there's going to be a little bit of an education that he's going to have to figure out as he goes along. Now, we've seen, though, with Connor that he's fast learner, 19 years old, young kid. This is somebody who's going to be a NASCAR Cup Series champion, I think, at some point in the very near future. This sneeze has totally derailed me. You ever have a sneeze that derails your whole life? It's happening to me right now. Anyway, I think he's going to be a future champ. It's just a matter of this is the first step of many steps that he's going to take to get there. So when you say, do I think he's going to be competitive? I think he's going to be. I think he's going to surprise people. I think he's going to outdrive his equipment. I do. Is he going to win 7 races? I think the expectation, the expectation's very high because of the success he's having in the Xfinity Series right now. He will be kind of a master of the road course as well. So maybe there's a better opportunity for them to kind of take that same angle, at Trackhouse that they've taken with SVG, where it's like, okay, we know we can be competitive at road courses. Let's focus there. Let's focus up on that. We'll do some development on the ovals. We need to get our wins where we know we can be competitive. So does Gibbs get a win, his first win anytime soon? I was really hot on Ty Gibbs for a long time. And not this year, not last year, this first year, his rookie year in the Cup Series, he looked like it was going to happen. He was in the mix every week at a certain stage of the season where it looked like it was going to be the real deal. Now, I don't know what's going on with the 54 car. I know he's getting frustrated behind the wheel a lot of the time, and I know that they're just not able to put a full race together. I agree with you. I think there is a emotional factor for Ty Gibbs and his want and his desire to win so badly. Because I do think he's a real competitor, right? Everybody's going to naysay Ty Gibbs because, oh, Nepo baby, Pop's favorite boy. Like, you could say all those things, right? But he's the one in the car. And he's the one trying to win the races. But I do think that he really does have this passion to win at the highest level. And I think that's part of what makes him an excellent driver. And I think it's part of what holds him back at the same time. A lot of pressure on him too. I think that's another big part of it. He puts a lot of pressure on himself because there's an expectation at Joe Gibbs Racing that you go out and you win races. They have to think that team is the 18 team. That's a team that Kyle Busch, you install Kyle Busch in a number of years back, and they're out there tearing it up. So I think that's something he carries around with him. I mean, I don't think it's easy. He doesn't take it easy on himself when he's in the car. So it's definitely something where, do I see him getting a win this year? I don't know. I don't know. I certainly would imagine that the 8 car would win this year ahead of the 54 car, but it's really tough for Ty Gibbs, and to a certain degree, I do feel some sympathy for him, where it's just you're just chasing this thing down and getting closer and closer and closer, trying to reach out and grab that opportunity to put yourself in a position to win, and it's just been really tough for him to get it done, to finish it out. Yeah, my thing is, right, like if it doesn't happen, if Ty Gibbs doesn't win soon, right? Let's see, how many races has Ty Gibbs So Ty Gibbs has raced in 109 Cup Series races. 109 races. So they say, sorry, the nose thing is killing me. They say that typically it takes around 100 starts to break in a driver before they get their first win. So we're there. We're at the point where if it was anyone else, the conversation starts. This is it. The conversation starts, and we start talking about, well, if this was Alex Bowman, if this was Alex Bowman, we'd be talking about him finding another ride. Oh, see, Chris always comes in with the juicy little financial nuggets that none of us know about. I think, so that's a good point, too. Talking about what's going to happen with Corey Heim. Corey Heim's in the Toyota system right now. He might not be when they come to call. I don't know who he's going to race for next year. I don't know if it's going to be an Xfinity deal or he's going to get a Cup deal somewhere, but that's a prospect that's a kid who can go win races. Now, I know there's been a lot of personal relationships that Ty Gibbs has made over the years that he is someone who controls what happens at the Xfinity level for Joe Gibbs Racing. So Corey Heim in the 88 for JRM would be crazy. That would be a great move for him. $35, Riley Herbst over at 2311. You think that could happen? That could be something. I don't know what Herbst's contract looks like. I know that hasn't exactly been the most fruitful season for the rookie in the 35 Monster Energy machine over there at 2311 Racing. I think they moved him up too quick for me. He was great in the Xfinity Series. I enjoyed watching Riley Herbst week in and week out. I understand that that's not the ultimate goal. Do I think staying with the manufacturers matters? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much influence that manufacturer relationships have in the sport. I think that folks don't realize it can mean as much as not racing in the sport anymore with manufacturer alliances and manufacturer pipeline. That was something they talked like a good example of it is Kyle Busch, where, Kyle Busch can't make some of the moves that he used to because the manufacturers don't want to deal with him. They don't want to work with him. Teams don't want to put up with it. At least early in his career, it would have been like that. So there were times where he could go back to Hendrick. He can't go back to Hendrick. Hendrick won't have him back. Oh, he can't go here. He can't go there. Those are things that happen for a lot of drivers because of OE influence and what they want as well. Some drivers aren't just cut to go Cup racing. They're better suited for Xfinity and truck. I think everybody wants to go Cup racing, but for me, like, what happened to the days when like the Truck Series was just as pop? Like, I love the Truck Series. What happened to that? What happened to the days where the Truck Series had a lot of hype around it? The Busch Series. Like, I'm collecting Busch Series diecasts right now. I'm rewatching all the races from the 04 and 05 Busch Series seasons, right? Those races are incredible from the Busch Series days in those cars. They're incredible. The talent pool was great. The drivers were great. You had Cup drivers jumping down to race in that Busch Series every week, most weekends too. And I think that's something too that's interesting too. NASCAR announced when they came out with the schedule that they were going to expand the number of races that Cup drivers could participate in lower series. So I think that's going to change some of the competitiveness and bring more attention back to places like the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series and the Craftsman Truck Series. You have to do something. And I get, like, you don't want to disrupt a championship run for a driver of a lower series, but you have to put on a show. You have to put on a show and get people involved and invested. Look at ARCA. There's a huge gap between manufacturer sport and team. Well, yeah, ARCA is a good example too, where you see some of the Joe Gibbs Toyota stuff that just gets so much attention and they win so many races. I mean, Chevrolet as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with drivers not going to run Cup, though. I think there's great racing that happens in these others here. ARCA series, I don't care. ARCA trucks, Xfinity, great racing. I'd love to see Daniel Suarez win in Darlington on Sunday. I would love to see that too. I don't know if that's traditionally been a great track for Daniel, but he's got a lot of momentum after the second place finish this week. I think he really wanted to make that playoff berth. That would have been a real stunner. What's your thoughts on Gregson? It's been a rough year for him. I don't think it's time to replace him with Lane Riggs. I don't think it's a driver issue over there. I think you look at that team and you see the way those cars run. You know, Todd Gilliland isn't running any better. You know, Zane Smith isn't running any better. It's an issue where those cars are having. There's other things happening there outside of the driver pool that they're dealing with. RCR Tier 1 Dodge versus living in HMS Shadow at Chevy. The more people talk about it, the more it makes sense that if they're going to make a change, that's one that they will have to consider. And again, I'm not here to break any kind of special crazy news. I don't know anything you don't about the Dodge stuff at RCR. Dodge hasn't even announced that they are interested in coming back to the Cup Series. So let's just start there, right? They're in the trucks. Ram is in the trucks. Dodge Stellantis, as an OE, has not come out and said, hey, you know, we're going to make this additional investment into this higher level of American racing series. They haven't said that yet. I think they're going to announce 2 new OEs at the same time when the time comes. I think Honda and Dodge will come back to the Cup Series. That is my personal prediction. And I think you're going to get a hybrid system at some point. I think I think that's a good point, Chris. I think once RC walks away or retires or whatever he chooses to do, and you hear Austin Dillon talk about it again after Richmond, I think there's an opportunity for Austin and Ty to do some things. And I think Kyle Busch has a lot to do with maybe some of the direction there too, because I think they respect Kyle's racing career, obviously, and the way that he understands the series after owning the truck team and being involved at Joe Gibbs for as long as he was. And I think they respect his opinion in a big way. So I think maybe he'll have something to do with that. But I don't think anything at RCR happens until Richard Childress decides he's going to take a back seat role in managing the team. If Honda goes to NASCAR, it would have to be hybrid, yes. And they've had the torque sensors on the differentials for the last 2 years, deciding on what they want to do. They have all the data. They know what it would take from an engineering standpoint to create a hybrid. We'll see. I don't know why Honda just can't make a V8. I don't know. I don't understand that. Waiting for Byron's penalty to come today and take away his regular season championship. That is true. He did not pass inspection at Daytona. I don't know if they're going to ding him enough to take away a championship, but maybe Busch is the new owner of RCR. I would be stunned if the Dillon boys didn't take over at the helm there full time. Randy Dye has already put in place. RCR definitely going to go with Dodge. Randy Do is on Dodge board. Randy Dye. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm just saying it's not something that anybody's really said out loud yet. The right people haven't said it out loud yet, is the way I should say that. No way, RCR. Big Tyler in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler was at the track this week, and what'd you get, Todd Gilliland to sign the bottom of your shoe? That was wild, brother. I love that. Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon. Maybe Austin is the owner and Kyle is a consultant like Jeff and Hendrick. Money talks and support talks. And if they can get a system like that put together, they could be the tier 1 team for a new manufacturer. Honda shareholder feel hybrid is the only thing to highlight and advertise. We are all just spitballing. Todd didn't seem like he was down with it. I'm not gonna lie. He seemed like his feelings were a little hurt that you had him autograph the bottom of your shoe and walk around on his name all day. I saw it and I was like, oh, damn, Tyler giving it to him. Oh, man. I understand what you were trying to do. What you were trying to do. How old is Todd? He's got to be our age, right? He's in his 20s. No, I just realized the other day that Noah is 30. He's Sal's age, which is kind of sickening to know that, what did I do with my life? Yeah, let's see. How old is Big Todd? I like Todd. Todd's a good-looking guy too, I'm very secure in who I am, but a good-looking guy is a good-looking guy. Todd Gilliland. I just want to know how old he is. I don't need to know his finish results. He's 25. He's 25. He was born in 2000. God. I don't know. I have this thing where if you don't remember 9/11, you're not a real person. That's my personal. As an East Coast guy, that was the benchmark as a kid. 2001, we're here. Everyone, it's seared into our memories for the duration of our lives. If you don't remember it, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. You're from a different from a different world. Same thing with Labubus. If you buy a Labubu, don't talk to me. That's all I got to say. And I know people who got Labubus. I don't want to talk to them either. Don't bring the Labubu in Sal's world. The Labubu. If you don't know about the Labubu, go ahead and look it up. And then click away as soon as possible. NASCAR Labubus would go crazy. I don't think that's quite the market the Labubu crowd is in right now. Are we really going to talk about Labubus on this stream? What they are? They're these little, to me, as an old man, they're like little Furbies. That's what they remind me of. Uglier Furbies with bigger teeth. And they're just these collectible little creature-looking toys that people are spending thousands of dollars on. Thousands of dollars on these things. So it's really strange to me that the Labubu exists in the society that we live in today. So it's not my jam. I think they should burn them all with fire. I don't like the Labubu. I think it's very bad. I listen to a lot of the Tim Dillon show, and he's got a very strong stance on the Labubu. Furbies were creepy when they came out too. I wasn't a Furby kid. I remember them putting them on the commercials on TV. Do you remember with the eyes? The plastic eyelids? Come on. NASCAR needs more girly pop stuff, as my fiance would say. I'm here for pink race cars. I like pink race cars. What would the girly pop things be? This audience is 98% male. So I don't know if I'm the right person to be speaking of girly pop things. I have a very high male audience here, so I don't know. They are lacking women's merch. My fiance has been wearing the same Chase Elliott women's shirt design. She wasn't even a Chase Elliott fan, but it was the only piece of women's apparel she could find in the fan zone at the haulers, so she bought it, and that's all she's got. They are lacking on the women's stuff, and it's tough because it's a male-dominated sport for sure, but you can't make ugly women's clothes because it's not going to sell. 2311 needs to be sponsored by Gucci. Okay, good luck with that. NASCAR used to have a license with Barbie and Hot Wheels. I agree. NASCAR needs more F1 type merch. I think there's a balance. Now, she's actually an Alex Bowman fan. She likes that Alex Bowman is sponsored by the dogs, the charitable organization there that takes care of the animals that Bowman runs a handful of times a year. She saw that. She was like, that's it. Lock it in. I think there's great opportunities. Like, I love what RFK does for their drivers, like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch car. Like, even people who aren't Chris Buescher fans were looking to buy that shirt and to have that merchandise. I kind of look like Tony Stewart. Do I? I don't think so. There's a picture of me and Tony Stewart together we could pull up and we could compare side by side. I don't think I look like Tony Stewart at all. Let's see if I can find the picture while we're here real quick. I was at SEMA last year. I met Tony. Tony likes to gamble at the Cosmo. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, yeah, there it is. I don't think I look like Tony Stewart at all. We look like two Caucasian men that have beards. I'm not trying to roll you over the coals, but you make the comparison and I have the photo. I have to pull it up. Sorry. Not a lot of drivers that you can say, hey, you look like this guy. And then I can go, hey, you want to see? I don't think so. Anyway. Young Tony? I wish. Yeah, I got to meet some cool people. I get to meet some cool drivers. I met Kenny Wallace at SEMA 1 year. Very cool guy. Kenny Wallace is exactly as advertised. He's hard to keep up with. He's a ball of energy. I love Kenny. I've met a handful of drivers. I met Joey Logano last year. He was very, very cordial, very cool guy. I have to be careful what photos I take with people, though, because I work for the show. So I don't like people to think that I'm, like, not being professional. I kind of look like Danica. I should get a picture next to her. Coffee with Kenny is a good show. I like Kenny Wallace's content. I like the show he does with Kenny Schrader, too. Herman Schrader. I think that was a good show. Sal looks like a typical New Jersey guy. Well, that's because, all the New Jersey guys kind of look the same. We're all kind of the same height and weight build, kind of a little big, kind of, we all got necks on us, a little bit of a beard, South Jersey guys look a certain way. I go out to restaurants. Have you ever seen a picture of Martin Truex Jr., right? Pull it up if you haven't. Seen it, this guy without a helmet on. He looks like every person where I live. He looks exactly like every person. I go down to the dock, and there's 10 guys casting fishing rods out. All of them look like Martin Truex Jr. Every one of them. You go out to a bar in South Jersey, and there's a guy with a camouflage hat on and a pair of jeans and a decent shirt. They all look similar. It's just how it goes. The waste management business. I wish I was in the waste management business. I wish I owned a recycling center. I wish I owned a recycling center. I wish I had I wish I had a family legacy of recycling centers. I do. Because we wouldn't be talking here. I'd be out on the track racing every week. Anyway. Oh my goodness. We're so far over today. Anything else we want to talk about here today, besides how much I look like I should own a recycling center? You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to buy a golf course. I'd like to buy a golf course, I think. Oh, Tyler's got some good news. Let's hear the good news, Tyler. Is it that you've purchased a golf course for me? Let's hear it. I'm waiting, Tyler. Come on. Get them fingies moving. It's early. Get them. Leland Honeyman is a late addition to your wedding. Ooh, that's cool. I'm getting married next year. And I don't know. I want to send like invites to people, like famous people. And I don't think they'll respond to them. So why am I going to send them an invite? I don't know. I thought about it. I thought about sending one to like JGR, like 2311, just seeing what they would like, seeing if they would answer. Tyler's big potatoes though. Like Tyler's a big dog out here. He knows the drivers. I just yap. I yap from home. That's pretty cool though that Leland come to your wedding. It's pretty dope. Send an invite to Jimmy. He might come. He's local enough. I wanted to try to send them some to like, people send wedding invites to like Chick-fil-A and like things like that. I wanted to try to send them to some of the cup teams or even some of the smaller teams. Like, I don't care. Send them to whoever, but nobody knows Sal. It's not like I'm like known in the community for at that level of comfort, you know? Anyway, I get married next year in June, so it'll be a busy time for me. Place I'm getting married though, I met Martin Truex Jr. at in a New Year's party, so you never know who could be bouncing around in the other side of the business. Anyway, we are over time. I appreciate everybody coming out. I'm gonna stop like recording so I can clip the show. We're gonna do that real quick. ATYL fam, thank you so much for tuning in on X, Facebook, and YouTube every Monday. Return back here. We have some good sponsor news coming out this week as well. There's been a very generous sponsor who we're going to be creating some content for over the next couple of weeks that is helping the cause. And then also, if you're still here, before we do anything, there may be a giveaway coming up from Sal. I may have double ordered a diecast by accident, and it may be to your advantage that has happened. Now, it's a very specific diecast. If I double ordered it, it is a very specific diecast. It would be a 20-year anniversary of a very pivotal championship for a certain driver that I may have double ordered a diecast for. So for those of you who collect, keep your ear to the ground on that. I'll have to check the mailbox every week to see, or every day this week to see if it showed up. I kind of hope it doesn't, but if it does, it'll be a great opportunity to give it away because I do not need two of the same diecast. I have been collecting, though. This is my most recent addition to the collection. This is the 05 DEI #1 car. Super, super cool. This scheme, just the red with the tracker boats, was one of my favorites. So, I don't know. This thing is super cool. I got it for a song online. I know some of them sell for a lot more money than I would ever pay, but yeah, super cool. This is my latest pickup. But yeah, Tyler Truex won the Cliff Cross Memorial. Not this week, but the week prior. So very cool for him. We talked about him a little bit last week on the show. Cousin to retired Cup driver Martin Truex. They run a good. He was getting ready to win this week too. I thought he was going to win back to back, but that race was just such a mess this week. It really, you know, however you feel about what happened with the 76, it was really not fair to anyone else racing. Because there were cautions and there was time, red flag, and I don't know. It was not, to me, it was not fair to the rest of the field. So I thought Tyler was going to walk away with another win this weekend, but it did not quite work out that way. Anyway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to shut us down here. Thanks so much on ATYL. I appreciate everything.